Hi, and welcome to Sunday Morning Knits, my channel where I talk about all things fiber arts, mostly knitting, but sometimes crochet. Actually, today is going to be about half crochet, half crochet and half knitting. And this is going to be a special episode where I talk about all of my blanket whips. So today I am doing a special episode on my blanket whips because I have several. These are much longer term projects than things like socks or a shawl or a sweater. Some of these I have been working on for 2-3 years. Some of them I have just started. If you've seen my podcast episode, I will have briefly talked about some of these, but there's one that I did not talk about. So, welcome. I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. The very first blanket whip that I'm going to talk about today is one that I actually just started, I think I started it last week, and that is my sweet shop blanket pattern. Now, if you saw, sweet shop blanket, not pattern, blanket, sweet shop blanket, blanket. This one is a pattern by Laura Penrose, and if you saw my podcast episode, I will have talked about this in a little bit of depth there, so a lot of this is going to be repeated. My apologies. But this pattern is a mitered square corner to corner garter stitch pattern, and you join each square as you go. So there's no seaming, which is really lovely. But I think that's it that I can tell you about the pattern because it's a paid for pattern. So I am using, oh wait, let me grab them. I am using size 6 US size 6 needles, so 4mm needles. I am using double Sunday. Oh, we have a cat visitor. She really likes to sit on these blankets. Yeah, this one especially, whenever I'm working on it. Although she did sit on my Hexie blanket last night and I was like, I'm in the middle of working on this, but I digress. So I'm using double Sunday in the color Whipped Cream, which is the petite knit colorway for the main color. And then each of the contrast colors is one of the Greek God yarns by Pasley Knits. Now Pasley Knits did a Greek God colorway club in 2022. I joined in, I think, March of that year, so I missed a couple. But last year she did a pre-order where you could order any of the gods, and I picked up the couple that I was missing. I think I was missing Zeus and Poseidon. No, it was Zeus and Dionysus. I don't remember. And then there were a couple that I didn't have that I think she added afterwards. So Persephone was one of them, and I think the other was Hestia. Now there is one I don't have. I don't have Hephaestus. I was not a big fan of the colorway. Not that Pasley Knits did a bad job. She did an amazing job and very much captured Hephaestus. It just wasn't my kind of thing, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the yarn at the time. I got the fingering weight club colors, so I was thinking of making socks at the time. But once I collected all of the yarns, I picked up the last ones that I was missing when I was home because I had them shipped to my home address, which is in a different country. And I brought them back. I was like, oh, I think I have to do a sweet shop blanket. So that's why I didn't get Hephaestus. So there will be no Hephaestus in this blanket, but that is okay with me. I absolutely love how this is turning out. So I've talked about this in my podcast episode, but if you didn't see it, I have an undergrad and I have an undergrad and a master's degree in classics. And this project has been so much fun to kind of scratch that part of my brain that I haven't really used in a long time because I'm doing a PhD in more like linguistics. Although this quarter I will be TAing a class on classical mythology through the classics department, which I'm very excited about. But it's so nice to use all of those skills and, well, maybe not skills, but all the knowledge that I built up during my undergrad and my master's in a very artistic way, kind of blending two things that I really love, so knitting and classical mythology. And so my boyfriend and I have strategically planned out all of the squares, all of the colors, and where they go based on the god and the various stories about that god that exist in mythology. So, for example, we have Hermes and Aphrodite, and they're side by side because they had a relationship in classical mythology. And then Aphrodite and Ares are side by side because they were a thing in classical mythology. And then we have Aphrodite, Athena and Hera because of the Trojan War. We have Apollo and Zeus because Zeus is Apollo's father. We have Zeus and Hera because of their relationship. So that's the kind of thing that's going on in this blanket. I am loving it. This is so much fun. The pattern is super well written. I do highly, highly recommend Laura's pattern. I'm not sure if I mentioned it's by Laura Penrose. Highly recommend it. It's very well written. Yeah, and I very much love how this is turning out. I think it's going to be a really beautiful blanket. My cat loves to lie on it, but because the double Sunday is non-superwash, she does not get frequent access to this blanket because I do not want her getting it dirty, because I can't put it in the washing machine. I definitely should have thought of that before I picked double Sunday to be the main color, but I had a lot of double Sunday and it's like, oh yeah, this will be fine, and just didn't think through the fact that it's non-superwash, and then the sock yarn is superwash, so whoops. I kind of regret that, but it's fine. It'll be okay. It just means my cat can't lie on it. I have not decided how big I want to make this blanket. I think I was thinking of just making it lap size and having it be like my office blanket, but I think I'm going to make a different blanket, a lap sized office blanket. I kind of want this to be gigantic. I don't know yet. I think I'm going to make this blanket as big as I can with the yarn that I have. And when I run out of yarn, that'll be the end of my blanket. I think that's the plan. Yeah, we'll see. But I am loving it. I think it's going to be beautiful, and it is making me so happy to knit. I love reminiscing and reminding myself all about the Greek mythology that I know and learning new stories. And I think it's very fitting that I'm working on this during the semester where I am actually TAing a classical mythology course. So that is my first blanket whip. It's going by pretty quickly, but that may also just because I have like new project giddiness and want to work on it a ton because it's a new project. As you'll see, some of my other blanket whips I've been working on for a long time. So we'll see. We'll see how long this giddiness lasts, but I would like to have this done at some point because I love it so much. So yeah, that's my first blanket whip and my newest. Okay, my second newest, because apparently I'm going to be doing this in reverse chronological order, is this. This is my corner to corner linen stitch blanket that I was inspired to make by Emma C. Makes, who is a lovely, lovely YouTuber and Instagrammer. I saw her YouTube video where she was making this with all of her scrap sock yarn, and I was like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I need to learn how to crochet to do this. Now, at this point, I already knew how to crochet a hexagon, but that was pretty much it, and a chain stitch. But Emma has a lovely tutorial on how to do this on her YouTube page, which I will link below. And so I followed that. It was super easy. She explained it very well and got started. Now I did the first like this much on a 2.5mm hook, and it was coming out way too dense. So around here, I just switched to a 3mm hook, and the fabric is far drapier and far closer to what I was looking for in a blanket. So there's a bit of a texture difference, but I think I'm just gonna maybe like aggressively block this portion of the blanket, and hopefully that'll maybe stretch it out a little bit, give it the same kind of drape that we have up here, but it's not super noticeable, so I don't mind. Also, this is a scrappy blanket, so it's using all of my sock yarn scraps, and I did not want to unravel and start again because that was a lot of ends, and the yarn wouldn't be the same length if I started on a new project with those tiny little scraps, and I didn't want to waste them. So I just switched hook size went up to a 3mm needle, and I think it's okay. The edge is kind of wonky, but I think that's just a feature of I'm a new crocheter, and I will just crochet some sort of cute ruffly border onto it and hope that nobody notices. Yeah, but it's so nice to have a blanket project where I can use up my fingering weight scraps, because I have so many of them. I have like 50 pairs of hand knit socks that I've knit over the last like 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. So many scraps, and it is so nice to have a project that I can use them in. I'm also really loving the colors. I think that I've done a fairly decent job at picking colors and picking where the colors go. And I think it's turning out really well. I think this is gonna be a really beautiful blanket. Emma's version is a big square, which is what mine is currently turning into. I have not decided if I want to make it a square or make it a rectangle yet. I'm just gonna basically crochet until it's a length that I'd want, and then decide from there. This is kind of just a I make decisions as I go project, but I'm very much enjoying it. The linen stitch is really easy. I can do it while watching podcasts on YouTube or watching TV or something like that. And it's really nice to see all of my scraps. I really like being able to be like, oh, I remember knitting with that yarn. Like, oh, I love that pair of socks. I loved that whatever I knit with it. I've also put a couple of minis in here. I have quite a few minis, and they are going in this project wonderfully as well. It's nice to use some of those, because for some of them I'm like, I don't quite know what I would actually do with this. A lot of the minis are from like advents and stuff like that. Into the blanket they go. I think it's lovely, and I think it's gonna be really beautiful. Don't know what I'm gonna do with this blanket, but you can never have too many blankets ever. So yeah, that is my second newest blanket. I think I started this one at the beginning of February. I think it's on my Ravelry. My second oldest blanket project is this beautiful blanket. Oh, it's upside down. This beautiful blanket, which was inspired by Nitty Natty. This is Not a Crawl Crochet's Summer Hexie Fade Blanket, but I am not doing the fade portion. I am just crocheting with my scraps and attaching them. Now, you'll see that there's a lot of like loose cream colored threads, especially down at the bottom. That is because I could not figure out the join as you go method. So I had never crocheted before starting this project. I could crochet a chain and that was it. So I followed the video that Not a Crawl Crochet has for how to make this. She says it's not a tutorial for beginners, but I had never done most of the stitches in that video and I was able to follow along no problem. So I think it's great. As a beginner, I did fine. But the one thing I couldn't figure out was the join as you go method. So instead, I am just crocheting the hexagons and then like stitching them together, which is why there are so many dangly threads at the bottom here. I am weaving in the threads of the hexagon as I go, of the hexies as I go, because I don't want to weave in those ends, but you gotta stitch the hexagons together somehow. So that's what that is. These are mostly scraps that I have and or skeins that I've had sitting in my collection for far too long, and I just wanted to get them out of my collection. The plain squares are all double Sunday. I did purchase the double Sunday for this project because I wanted a cream color base yarn to kind of sprinkle throughout the colors, just to kind of give it a lighter overall tone than if it was just all colors just kind of smooshed together, which I think was a good decision. But otherwise, these are all, again, minis or yarns that have just been in my collection. Some of them are scraps as well. If I used fingering weight, I held it double to do the hexagons, but for the most part, the hexagons are done with a DK weight. So these are my DK weight scraps. I'm loving how it's turning out. I think the overall palette is beautiful. It's kind of like a peachy pink. There's some brown tones and then like blues sprinkled. throughout. Some of them are really fun, like this is a rainbow yarn too that I have in my collection that I wanted to turn into a little hexagon. I held it with some gold stellina that I had from a mini. Yeah, a lot of them are hand dyed. I think all of the colors actually are hand dyed except this dark brown one. This is a Quince & Co. Yarn, but the rest are all from Indie Dyers. And I'm just loving how it's turning out. It's kind of just big enough to like put on my lap right now, which I think could be really cute. It's like a desk blanket, like a lap blanket when I'm sitting at my desk working, because I generally have a blanket on me if I'm at my desk. But I think because I am enjoying this so much, I'm going to double this size so that I can fold the blanket over on my lap. Also, I have a lot of yarn left that I still want to put into this, so that is part of why I'm going to do the double, I think. I have not decided whether I'm going to do a border or not, and if so, what kind of border. I have no idea. I have lots of the cream colored double Sunday, so I can always do a border in that if I want to. But that is a decision for future Laura. I'm not going to make that decision right now. Oh, I forgot to mention hook size. I'm using, oh, not that one. I am using a 4mm hook, so a letter G for this project. And yeah, I'm loving it for my first crochet project. I'm pretty proud of myself. And I think it's just gonna be a beautiful addition to my handmade blanket collection. So yeah, that's my summer Fade Hexie blanket. Now I have one final blanket whip, and you have not seen this before. I have not worked on this project in a year and a half. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, I started this during lockdown. Why is there thread? I need to throw that out. I started this project during lockdown, and I was living in a different country. I promptly moved for my PhD, and I moved this project with me, but I just haven't had the desire to pick it up. I'll show you. So this is the Copenhagen building blocks blanket patterned by Boy Knits World. I have 3 little houses done, and I think they're very cute, and I really did enjoy knitting them. I actually have a 4th that's like halfway done, but I didn't want to pull it out of the project bag. I'm not 100% sure why I haven't continued working on this. Part of it, I think, is I am not good at color work. So this project has actually been really difficult for me. I think this is my 4th attempt at colorwork, because I had done a colorwork sweater, I had done 2 colorwork socks, and then I think I picked this one up. I find colorwork really hard. So that's definitely part of why I haven't picked it up in a little while. Also, I'm doing this in Sheepjes Catona cotton yarn. And I picked cotton because I knew when I started this project that I was going to be moving to Los Angeles. So I figured a wool blanket was probably not the best idea. And I was really struggling to find wool yarn in all the colors that I wanted for my little houses. But Sheepjes Catona came in so many different colors that I was like, this is perfect. I do like the yarn. I think it's gonna make a great blanket. It's also gonna be a lot easier to wash than the wool blankets that I'm working on, which is a plus. But color work is a lot of work. It's not quite as easy as my like corner to corner blanket or my garter stitch blanket. These are a lot harder. So I think that's also part of why I haven't been working on them. But this is definitely a project that I'm going to finish. It's just gonna be like a really long-term blanket project, I think. When I was in lockdown, I was really dreaming of traveling. I was very sick of being stuck in the house, as we all were. And so working on the like Copenhagen building blocks pattern made me very, very happy at the time. Yeah, my plan, so the back, you can obviously see all of my floats. My plan is to knit cream colored backings and like stitch them to each house, so that you don't see all of my floats once I'm done this pattern. But yeah, I'll do some B-roll so that you can see what these ones look like up close. They're very cute. They are blocked, but they have been kind of stuffed in a bag, so they're a little wrinkly. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's a beautiful pattern. I love how it's written. I love how it looks. Boy Knits World has done an amazing job. Just absolutely stunning. So I am very excited to get back to working on this project. I think I'll make it be a goal to do a little bit of work on this project, maybe once a month or something like that. Because like I said, it is a bit of a longer term project, something that I want to work on over time. I haven't been to Copenhagen, but I was in the Netherlands last year, and Leiden, which is where I was for a study abroad, looks very similar to this kind of idea. So now it just makes me think of Leiden and how much I miss it there and how great my time was. So I definitely want to continue with it. It's been a lot of fun. And I have so many different colors too. Like these three don't really show off all the colors that I have. I have so many different colors for the houses. I kind of went with the same overall idea of like more muted colors. Obviously this one is quite bright, but kind of like the brick red, the kind of muted brown. So that I have some sort of overall cohesion to my pattern, but yeah, all the windows are going to be the same color, so they're all the like gray, and then the like little sidewalk part is all the same gray throughout. So I think it's going to be very cute. I can't wait. I just need to actually work on this project. So yeah, those are my 4 blanket projects. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of shorter episode where I go through the 4 blanket projects that I have on the go right now. All of these are obviously longer term projects, not something I'm aiming to finish right away. And I thought it would be fun to kind of give you a little blanket project tour of all the different blankets I have going on. So let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments. I'm very curious. Let me know if you have ever knit or crocheted a blanket as well. I would love to hear, and I would love to hear what blanket pattern it was if you used a pattern. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, please, if you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe. That would really help me out. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and happy knitting. Bye.